Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Kizzy and today I'm going to be going over my 2022 goals for reading. So I try and set these every year. I did last year, can't remember what they are. Actually I have them written down somewhere. But I have no idea what they are, did not stick to them, forgot about them pretty much within the first 2 weeks. But this year I'm feeling different. I feel like it's the year to achieve goals and consistency. Consistency is my problem. I have like bursts of productivity, but I'm never very consistent with it. So we're gonna try and be consistent and actually read more this year. So I have a couple goals with reading, what I want to achieve with my reading, both like kind of quantity and the content that I'm reading, as well as budgeting and spending money when it comes to books. So let's get into them. I have 6 goals to share with you. Starting with number 1, we have 1 book a week. So my Goodreads goal basically is to read 50 books a week. I have set this goal every year. I have only achieved it once, I think, in the 4 years that I've set a Goodreads goal. So we'll see how it goes. What week are we on? I'm on track. I'm on track. I do struggle because I do tend to read quite chunky fantasy books, and that are at least like minimum normally 500 pages long. So they are quite like a dedication to read at least like 100 pages pretty much a day to read those. So getting the time to read them is, you know, struggling. But I'm in a very ready mood at the moment. Like all I want to do in my spare time is read, which is, I haven't had that in a very long time. Mainly because I just read 2 amazing books, which I will talk about in my wrap up, but they were very good start to the year I've had with my reading. So very excited about that. So I am in a fantasy reading, like sit down, spending hours just dedicated to reading mood, which is rare for me. So I'm gonna go with that for as long as I can and hopefully stick to this a book a week goal. It will balance out, like if I don't read 1 week, hopefully I'll read some smaller books, or like in like holiday season or when I've got more time off. You do know what I mean? But roughly 50 books this year, which roughly works out to a book a week. Fingers crossed I can stick to that. I've also deleted half my goals on my phone because I put it down without logging it. So kind of tying into my previous goal to read a book a week, I'm going to try and read a minimum of 25 pages a day, even on the days that I'm like super busy and have got like lots to do. I haven't stuck to that one quite yet. We're on the 15th and I think there's been 1 or 2 days where I haven't read anything. So this is one I really want to focus on in the next coming weeks, is just to read a little bit every day, because even then, if I don't reach the large goal of 50 books, I'll at least get a little bit closer than I did this year. And I always sleep better, I think, if I read before bed, so it's kind of just a habit that I would want to get into anyway. So the next 2 goals that I have are kind of more content based, like what I want to read, because I read a lot of fantasy, I read a lot of adult fiction. I want to expand that a little bit more. Not necessarily because I feel like I have to, but because I actually want to read more books in this genre. I just don't ever prioritize them in my reading, and I don't ever just like naturally gravitate towards them without probably thinking about it. But looking at them and like I bought these books, like I'm interested in reading these books, so I want to read them. The first one is classics. I want to read at least 9 classics this year. I talked about this I think a little bit in something, but I can't remember what. Maybe it was my journal flip through. Because I want to read Anna Karenina this year. It is a 900 I think page classic, but it is one that I've had for years and I wanted to read for years, and I think I will enjoy. I just haven't got to it. So in my head that takes up 3 months of reading. Like roughly around 300 pages a month. I haven't started it though this month, so I haven't done my monthly reading for this month yet for that, so I got to get started on that. But 300 pages a month, that takes 3 months, and then I'll have another 9 months to read another classic per month, basically, is my kind of idea with that kind of number that I've come up with. I have quite a few that I have some like ancient classics that I like to read, some kind of more Victorian based classics. I think those are the kind of 2 classical areas that I want to focus on. We'll see how that goes, but I'm feeling kind of confident that I'll at least get close. I feel like I have probably put every goal a little bit high, but it's better to aim higher, I think, and then get close than to kind of like aim lower and hit it and then be satisfied with that. I'd rather keep striving, if that makes sense. The next goal is that I want to read at least 5 non-fiction books this year. I didn't read any non-fiction last year. Do essays count as non-fiction? I don't know. I suppose that would be kind of my closest I came to, was like doing my research at the beginning of the year for my dissertation, like reading essays on fiction books, but I suppose they don't count, I don't think. So I have 5 non-fiction books on here. I have a couple that I'm very interested in. I've seen another one. It's coming out I think in April, but it is The Storytellers or The Fairy Tellers. I'll try and find a link and put it below. It sounds so good. It's a book about how fairy tales were kind of told and how they manifested and how they became what they are. So I want to read that. I'm very excited about that. But yeah, and another 4 that I'll have. Like I've got Storyland. It goes over the mythology and folklore of Britain, and that is a non-fiction book. And I've also got Dragon Heroes, Myths and Magic, which is another one on kind of medieval magic systems. And then I've got another one just on magic, I think, in general, which, I don't know, they're all magic system and fantasy. They're kind of all fantasy-based books anyway, but on non-fiction side of it. So it's what my interests are in, so I'm excited to learn more about that. So that's already 4 of the books already. And then I'd kind of like to read a little bit more on like the history of like classical Rome or classical Greece. I don't know, I'm not very good with history, so we'll see how that one goes. So the one that has been the hardest so far to maintain, because it's just, well, it's the one I've actually maintained so far of the ones that, like, you know, are year-long consistent ones. And it is, I have to read 2 books in order to buy 1 book. And it's hard. It's kind of fun. It's like a weird Jenga that I'm doing. So like, for example, I started a new series as my first book of the year. It was phenomenal, but obviously I couldn't then buy the second book of the series because I hadn't read the second book of the year. So I started a new series to get to that point where I could then buy the next book. But now I'm in this series and I'm really enjoying it. So I have the other 2 books in that series already. So I'm going to read the other 2 books in that series, which means I'll have read 4 books in total, which means I can buy the next 2 books in the first series and finish the trilogy in all in one. Does that make any sense? It does, I promise you, but it kind of doesn't at the same time. So it's kind of fun in the fact that I get to, like, I don't know, it forces me to read, I suppose, books that I currently own, which is also good because it's going to reduce my TBR. And it's also fun that I then have to properly think about the books that I want to buy with those 2 kind of token books. They're kind of like tokens I'm thinking in my head. So it's making me think more about the books I'm purchasing, which means I'm hopefully going to enjoy the books that I buy and read more, likely to anyway, because I'll have thought about it more, I'll researched it a little bit more. It will be definitely a book that I want to buy and one that I'm interested in reading in that moment. So I'll probably also read it quite quicker instead of buying books and then them sitting in the corner of my room for like a year, 2 years, 3 years before I read them. The books were meant to be read. So that's my goal. I think it's the best goal that I have. It saddens me that I can't just buy bulk books, but I couldn't really afford to do that anyway, so it is good. This is my favourite goal, I think, the favourite goal that I have. So hopefully I will stick to it and it will be good and it will benefit me and my book. So the last book that I have in it is to finish series that I start if I like them. There is a little interlude star. If I don't like the series, I'm not going to force myself to read and buy like the extra ones in this series. But often I really enjoy a series, but I don't then continue it. Like I just kind of, and I'm like, yeah, it's good. I'll just read this one next and then I'll come back to it. And then I never come back to it. So my goal is to actually kind of binge read series. Again, if it's like a 10-book series and I'm not feeling it, then, or I'm feeling it but I'm like bored, I've read like 5 of them and I kind of just want a little bit of a break, then I will do that. I will take every situation as it comes. It's not like super strict. I will kind of take it how I feel in the moment as well. But my goal is to finish series that I'm actually enjoying. Really want to finish them like now, so I probably will binge read them anyway. But that's also been a rare thing. Like I don't know if that's because that's a kind of goal I had in mind, or I actually am really enjoying them because I haven't binge read a series in such a long time, like not since I was a teen. So it's exciting to get back to that again. So a little wrap up, we have a book a week, aka 50 books in the year, a minimum of 25 pages a day, 9 classics across the year, 5 non-fiction books across the year, read 2 to buy 1, and to read all the series or finish the series before I kind of move on to the next one if I can. And if I want to. Basically that's not a rule then, is it, if I want to. But it will be a focus of mine, it will be a direction, a goal to do that. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your goals are down below, if there's any ones that I should add to my list, or if you're gonna have similar goals or ideas that you've taken from this video. And I will see you in the next video very soon.